Hey everybody, and welcome back to another book review. So I just finished a really great book called the Chilsbury Ladies Choir. And as we know, World War II is one of my favorite periods. I read a lot of World War II time period stuff. And so this is another one. This was actually a half price books fine. You know how dangerous walking into half price books is, and they have like the rack out front that's like dollars, worth of books. So I found this book and I was like, this seems interesting. And so I decided to get around to reading it, and while I was on thought break, and I really enjoyed it. So the book is told through a bunch of different characters' perspectives, and through letters and journals. Coming from the concept of in World War II, people were heavily encouraged to journal, kind of like what we saw during COVID and things of like, hey, document what you're doing, right? Just so that like in the future people can look back and figure out like what was going on, what was it like, but really focusing on the women in this tiny little village of Chilsbury, which is in Kent, and it's a fictional village, of course, but in the story they focus on these women who are in this village, and how all of the men have basically gone off to war and how they're supporting the war effort. You have nurses, you have young adults who, are going into the workforce, many for the first time, in the different jobs that they have, but then also just like their love lives and how they feel as they are beginning to lose some of the young men. How they feel for those that had lost previously in the previous war, which at the time was being called the Great War. We now know it as World War One. But just kind of that how do I feel now that I've gone through this once and having to go through it again? Just really a fun, kind of more lighthearted look at World War II. I really did enjoy. I am giving it a 5 out of 5. I did enjoy the book. I really liked at first I was very against the concept of like it's being told from a bunch of different characters, but I actually really got into it just to kind of hear, which side of the gossip, if you will, was going on. And I also really liked that the author did somebody in each age group. So again, you had somebody who was about 11, and she's a refugee from Czechoslovakia, and she's been sent to live with this wealthy family. And the wealthy family has two daughters, one who is 13 and one who is 18, and having stories from their perspectives of like, this is how I feel as a 13-year-old. This is how I feel as an 18-year-old, a young adult. And then you have characters who are one who is kind of more of the middle-aged mother, who her son has now gone off to war, and how she feels, especially because she's a single mom. Her husband had passed away, and so she raised her son by herself, and just how that felt. And then you had this other lady who was kind of like somewhat the evil character, and she's actually the reason I almost stopped reading the book, because I got so frustrated and upset with that concept of so she's the midwife in town, and she is tasked by the wealthy family, by the father of the wealthy family, who they call the brigadier. She's tasked by him to swap his child with another child in the village, because he's trying to make sure that he has an heir. He has a son, because his son was killed in the war. And so his wife just happens to be pregnant again, and so she gives birth, and turns out it was a girl, and so this midwife swaps it with another family who also gives birth. And that just concept just like really made me angry of, somebody was willing to switch a baby and take money for it. And of course there are people out there like this in the world. It just, it made me so angry. was like, no, I cannot read the rest of this book. And if I had to make a complaint about the book, the complaint was that this woman was never brought to justice, and they never fully figure out that the babies have been swapped. It just kind of leaves that line kind of hanging open. Like the midwife lady, her house gets bombed, and so she survives, but she winds up moving in with the vicar, and she kind of gets this like a happy little ending. And I was like, no, like I need her brought to justice. I need somebody to figure this out. And a couple other people in the village know about the baby swap. The nurse that lives next door to the midwife, she knows about the baby swap. And then one of the servants from the wealthy family knows about the baby swap. But nobody else supposedly knows about the baby swap. But then both babies wind up living with the wealthy family because the mother of the child who was swapped out, she's killed in the bombing. And so like both babies wind up in the same wealthy house, and they decide that they're going to keep both babies and raise them basically as twins because they technically have the same birthday. And I was just like, I was like, this is a poor way to wrap this up. Like, I need some serious justice here because that is such a wrong concept. It was too happy for me on that particular storyline. All the other storylines were very predictable and very perfect. The young girl who the 18-year-old, she's running around and trying to be a young woman and seduce this guy that she's got eyes for, and she winds up being successful in that, and then she falls pregnant, which we all predicted, and then you find out that he's not actually who he says he is, but it turns out that she actually does still like him, so they still wind up together. You have a lot of stuff like that. The person that she's supposed to marry, she decides to get engaged to originally. He turns into, complete monster. Predictable. There's a lot of stuff in the book that is very, very predictable. It's very stereotypical. But that particular line of the swapping babies not being resolved just really did me in. So there's that piece. If I had to complain about the book, it would be that. But like overall, really good book. It came out, I think in 2017. And so, or sometime around there. So it's been out for a little while. And it just seems like a book that, should be a BBC series or, even a short-lived BBC series. Just very lighthearted and very, British. And of course the author that wrote it is British, was born in Kent. So it makes complete sense. It just definitely rolls off the page very easily like that. So I would love to see it be a series or a play or something like that. It's just a really good story, a good way to tell a story. So there you have it. Again, the Chilsbury Ladies Choir. Really good book. And again, like I said, 5 out of 5. So there you have it. That is all for this book review. As always, please continue to send book recommendations and ideas. I did just get a couple from one of my very good friends, D. Jones, Lady D. She and her daughters did what I did, which was go to Half Price Books over fall break. And so she's got some more books, and she sent them to me, sent me the list, and then I saw some more authors of color. As always, I'm looking for more authors of color to read that are more modern day, not the older ones. A lot of those I have read, and I am still working through some of those. But yeah, authors of color, Black, Hispanic, Asian. Actually, I think one of the next books that I have on my list is from an Asian author, so look forward to that. But again, like I said, please continue to send book reviews and book suggestions, and I look forward to seeing you in the next book review. Bye.